Hi, everybody. So I've noticed that you've pretty much completed your research notes and you've got a rough draft, which is due at the end of this week. And I wanted to show you a little bit how to take your notes that you guys have drafted and move them into a rough draft of your paper. And so I've posted this organizational template, which I'm going to use to demonstrate how to organize your paper. If you click on here, you will see this template and you can make a copy and add it to your folder. And it's a really good way to help you organize your first draft because it's got kind of breaks down the paper into different segments and will help with the organization significantly. So here you've got space for the introduction, and then here you've got space for the body paragraphs. And you'll see that the body paragraphs are all the same. They have a topic sentence, which is going to be like mentioning your subtopic. And then you've got evidence here, concrete detail or quote. This is also evidence. You don't necessarily need one sentence. Maybe it's 2 or 3 sentences, but this will be from a different source. You've got your commentary, which will explain in 1 to 3 sentences how your evidence connects to the thesis or why it's important. And then you go back to evidence again, you go back to your commentary, and you've got a concluding statement which will wrap up the subtopic, the body paragraph, and then transition. So I'm going to start with my research notes here and give you a little example of how to transition from these notes over here to this rough draft. So the introduction and the conclusion, I just want to say, can be written at the end because you don't need evidence for that. Your body paragraphs are really the meat of your research paper, so you should be focusing most on those. You can have an idea of what you want to say for your introduction and conclusion, but those are really, it's really a good idea to do those towards the end, I think. So I'm just going to set myself up here with the introduction. My problem I was focusing on was the fixed intelligence idea, right? So my hook, which can be, remember, something that grabs the reader's attention. It can be a quote, it can be a startling fact or a shocking idea. It can be lots of different things that will really capture your reader's attention. So I'm going to go ahead and say, according to Thomas Edison, according to American inventor Thomas Edison, genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So I chose this quote because it's related to my topic, which is that hard work is the key to success. And this kind of quote, then I assume will get the reader interested. As you guys can see over here, my thesis statement, which I'm going to just copy into here, is that the biggest problem with American education is that students believe intelligence is fixed. So I'm going to put that in here. Okay. And because of that, they don't work hard and waste their potential. So I'm going to come back and develop my introduction later, but as I said, the body paragraphs are most important and they really make up the meat of this essay. So we're going to go on to look at our subtopics to get started on our body paragraphs. So I'm going to scan through my different subtopics and kind of divide up the body paragraphs this way. So this one is going to be about describing the problem of hard work, the lack of hard work. This one, it looks like we're talking about hard work in other countries. And we talk about Asia, we talk about Finland. So this one will probably be hard work in Asia, body paragraph 3, hard work in Finland. I'm going to keep going down, body paragraph 4. Maybe I'm going to move on to solutions for Americans, right? Changing culture is one solution, and my body paragraph 5 will be re-educating parents and teachers. So now that I've got the topics for the different body paragraphs, then I can start plugging in my evidence and plugging in my I say. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I need to describe the problem before I get into the solutions. So what the problem is, as proven by my evidence here, is that many studies have shown that American children believe intelligence is fixed and therefore are outperformed. So I'm going to first give this evidence here about Jim Stigler. Okay, so one researcher, a UCLA psychologist, Jim Stigler, did an experiment on American and Japanese children. He gave the students an unsolvable math problem, witnessed that Japanese students worked on and on, American kids gave up quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to add I say after I have added my evidence here. The I say is going to be explaining the evidence. So what I have added here is the fact that the American children give up easily reflects this belief that people either get it or they don't. Okay, this is just merely looking at this evidence and kind of explaining it. And then I'm going to add some more evidence, which I have here in my notes here, so you can see, and I just moved it over here. So because this whole paragraph is about studies that prove American children believe in fixed intelligence, I'm using evidence that matches that idea, right? So Carol Dweck, who coined the fixed mindset versus growth mindset, also did an experiment on American 10-year-olds where she gave them some math problems that were too difficult. Children who believed in the fixed mindset responded that next time they would cheat or they would find someone who did worse than them to make themselves feel better. So again, another study that proves that there's this belief that's pervasive. And then here's some of my analysis. So Dweck proves that in the US, the fixed mindset is prevalent and creates a culture where children are apt to care more about grades than learning, who will be likely to quit easily. The result is that they waste their potential. So describing the problem in this paragraph, and my concluding sentence is actually going to help me transition to my next paragraph, which is a nice little technique for you guys. And I say, in other countries, especially in Asia, the growth mindset is more prevalent and thus their test scores are better. Which sets me up for this next paragraph, where I'm going to talk about how in Asian countries they have better test scores, and this reflects their belief in the growth mindset. So I'm going to repeat the process. Now, if you want to put sometimes 2 pieces of evidence in a row, that's okay. You don't have to follow this model exactly, but it is a good model and it will set you up for success, because as you can see, we've got a balance of evidence, we've got a balance of I say, like we did with our body paragraphs before. We've got our introduction, which summarizes the main point, and we've got our conclusion, which also restates the main point and leads us into the next paragraph. So you can go ahead and continue plugging in your evidence, having your subtopic here, explaining the evidence, adding more evidence, explaining that, and then concluding. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And once you complete this organizational template, you're pretty much done with your draft, right? I also went back and added a couple things here um, to my introduction, because here it says any key points that you plan to develop, you want to mention in your introduction. So I'm going to just give a brief introduction to, like Fareed Zakaria does, right? He gives some statistics about how Americans are being outperformed by students all over the world, right? And how we have we have economic problems because of it. And then I'm going to quickly describe this growth mindset versus fixed mindset before I state my thesis. So again, I'm not really completely developing it here. These are just the points that I'm going to touch on in my introduction before I delve into my body paragraphs. You need this intro information if I'm going to understand this evidence that's coming next. It sets you up, sets the reader up to comprehend your whole paper. So my next step was to create a new document. As you can see here, this is my true rough draft, where I took my information from this organizational template and I copied and pasted it over here. I added my heading, my name, date, instructor, class. I added my title here. And I wrote my introduction, I wrote my body paragraph, I added transition words so that everything came together. The result is, right? And last thing that I need to do is to double space it. And to do that, I go here and click double. And so once this is filled out, you just copy and paste the information in here into your body paragraphs, and you turn it into a lovely, complete, well-balanced research paper. One last thing I want to encourage you to do is to add a header by going to, let me see, insert header, because you do need to have, and then I'm going to go write a line. I'm going to write my team name, Education Lovers, and I'm also going to insert page numbers. So you see here, you click this button, and then every page will have a number. And this is my MLA format, okay? So please fill out an organizational template and transfer that over to a MLA style rough draft of your research paper, and see me if you have any questions at all. Your notes look great and I cannot wait to read your rough drafts.